Hello, my name is Owen, and today I'll be doing a quick review of the first 3 books of Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn Era 2 series. What I want to do is give a brief overview of what the series is about and tell you things that I liked, tell you things that I didn't like, and whether or not I recommend the series. So I actually read these books a few years ago now. I think it was like 2017 when I first read all 3 of these books, and as the 4th and final book in the series is coming out this November, I believe, I thought I would do a reread, catch me up on what was happening, and build some excitement for the next installment. First of all, I just want to say I'm very glad I did this. Brandon Sanderson is one of my favorite authors of all time, and it's been a while since I read one of his books, so I was glad to jump back into that. So this is Era 2 of the Mistborn series. If you haven't checked out Sanderson's original Mistborn trilogy, highly recommend it. It's one of the top tier modern fantasy books out there, or book series out there, I should say. And like I said, he's one of my favorite authors, so I'm very biased. But Era 2 takes place a couple hundred years after the original trilogy, I believe. Technology has advanced a little bit, a whole new set of characters and stuff like that. It's a little bit more Western themed, kind of like guns and lawmen and stuff like that, but still carrying over the magic system from the original Mistborn trilogy. I'll just start off by saying I think it does stand alone. If you're interested in if you're not interested in like traditional fantasy, maybe you want to skip into like more like a Western aesthetic, I think it still works. He still re-explains how the magic system works and stuff like that, so we wouldn't be lost there. It'd really just be like small references, because the events of the original trilogy are like events of history in this series, so it's a little bit cooler experience if you like lived through those original experiences by reading the original trilogy. But I think they hold their own well enough, except for the last book kind of like delves into his wider Cosmere universe a little bit. But if you wanted to, you could do it alone, but I would just recommend reading them all because they're great. But yeah, going into things that I like, this is really a praise of Sanderson books in general. They're all just so light and like very easy to read, like especially coming off of reading Malazan for such a long time. These books are like just like the popcorn action stuff that like equivalent of books, and that's not as an insult, but like I think I read somewhere that they're like the Marvel equivalent of like fantasy novels, and I love Marvel, and that's not a knock anyway. I don't know if the person that said it said it as a knock, but it's just the sense that like there's heart, a lot of heart, and it's quick and it's fast paced and it's badass and it's just really fun. And that's what I really like about him as an author, and this series does not disappoint in any way, shape, or form. Some people think that this trilogy is worse than Era 1, and I can definitely see that criticism, just because it's a little bit more, especially the first book is a lot more like procedural in terms of like mystery, and they got to solve it's more individual is I guess the word I'm looking for, and I think Sanderson wrote that book originally to be like that, just a one-off, and then he decided to expand the series and stuff like that. But I think his characters in these books are just as strong as any of his other characters, in the sense that they're very likable. There's many humorous characters that are very easy to like, and they're just, none of them are super annoying, because sometimes you get like POV characters that are just like either super boring or just like they make decisions that don't make any sense, but they all feel very grounded, make realistic decisions here, which is great. Another thing I like is just the continuation of his Mistborn magic system, which, like I said, going to the original trilogy, it's just so interesting. It's like metal based. I can't even take the time to explain it now, but it's very, very interesting, and I loved seeing how creative Sanderson was with how that magic would work in a getting towards more modern society with like electricity and guns and gunpowder and stuff like that. He knocks it out of the park, and I know he's planning like a futuristic trilogy, and I think like a modern day trilogy as well. And I'm just excited for how he takes the magic system even further from there. So I did like all the things. I like all those things. I'm very excited for the 4th book. If I had to say things that I didn't like, going back to like the individualistic things, there is a little bit less heart, I feel like, in these 3 books than compared to his like Mistborn series or like Stormlight Archive and stuff like that. There's a little bit less like deepness, and I mean, comparing to like Stormlight Archive, which is like his main like magnum opus, these books are a lot shorter, which I do appreciate from time to time. but it just loses a little bit of that like character, like truly diving in depth and stuff like that, because some of the emotional arcs, especially the main character, it just didn't really like I sympathized with him and like his problems, but like it felt more like a literary device than some of his other characters where their struggles are like you kind of like understand them on a deeper level. So that's the only really complaint I had, is that it just kind of felt maybe a little rushed in the character department to make up for like quick-paced action and moving the plot along and stuff like that. But really, it's not that big of a criticism, because it just depends what you're looking for in a book. I'm not always looking for a deep, character-driven, like super in-depth, inside their head type of story. And you know, I didn't really need it in this book, but if I had to complain about something, it would be that is kind of weak, and I could have done with either less of it or it being done better. But overall, I think I said it countless times already, I do recommend this series. I recommend the first series, the first trilogy, Mistborn, first, and then to read these. But like I said, you could read them alone, but start reading now, because the book comes out in November, and it's gonna be great, let me tell you. All right, thank you so much.